gone to MK Dons, and like, you know, he went under, I guess, under the assumption that he'd be playing under Russell Martin, because they, you know, MK Dons play a certain way, etc. Blah blah blah. They're meant to play some good football, all this sort of stuff. They, like, you know, and then literally the day after, Russell Martin's fucked off. So what happened? What, you know, what does that? I wonder what that does in terms of, like, from a club perspective, in terms of how they planned his, you know, his loan and what the expectations were. Russell Martin's there, you know, and you think, right, well, maybe he wants Parrott for XYZ reason at that club, and then he's fucked off. So do we then have to review that and think, well, you know, because a new manager might come in and go, oh, I'm not interested in him. Yeah, it must surely could just derail his whole, you know, his whole plans, and he might end up, I don't know, playing for a League Two team again or something like that, rather than actually, you know, trying to, you know, really establish himself at League One level and show that he can score, you know, and perform.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a lottery who actually becomes a professional footballer, isn't it? So these little incidents and moments can affect those pathways.
Yeah,
I mean, would that really have been much of a consideration that, you know, MK Dons have come in and Troy Parrott's gone, fucking hell, Ross Martin or whatever his name is wants me, you know? I don't know who he is. You know, I don't think that's much of a consideration.
Not from Troy Parrott's perspective, but maybe from, you know, from a club perspective. When you're going to place a player at a club, that will be on the proviso that, you know, it's within the existing setup, and on the understanding that within that setup, that player's going to hopefully get a lot of game time. Which, with that, and you know, and the statement that MK Dons have given today, or ish, kind of, is that, you know, that they were upset, or, you know, in the manner in which Russell Martin's left. So they, you know, they weren't exactly necessarily expecting him to leave so quickly. So that kind of changes things. Sarah?
Yeah, I think the club are really careful with their loans, aren't they? We're not scared to call a player back from a loan if they're not getting what they were bargained. So I think they probably would have selected that club for the level, the type of football that they're trying to play. And there would have been a conversation about the amount of football that he gets. So all of those, technically, are all up in the air. But also, I don't think football clubs are a stranger to this sort of thing. And there's probably an expectation that the new manager coming in has got to, you know, continue that agreement, really. Or he does come back. But he's limited then, isn't he, to just one more loan this year?
Is he?
So have they replaced the manager?
I think so.
I don't know if they've replaced him yet. I mean, he only went today, I think. Well, he went yesterday.
I mean, what type of football club sacks a manager and then doesn't have a replacement? I mean, have you ever heard of that happening before?
No, never.
Fucking joke, mate. No, I know, terrible. So, I mean, just on that, like, you know, that topic of loans and stuff. You know, there's talk of Skip and Tanganga going out on loan this year. Pete, like, what, you know, Pete, what would your thinking be on that? Because you'd have thought that both players would feature quite heavily for the team this year in the Conference Cup, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit, and you know, and in the domestic cups as well, at least at minimum, you know.
I mean, Nuno must have some input as to who stays and goes in whatever way, be it a loan or something like that. I think from a player point of view, at whatever level, you want the consistency of playing. You don't want to be spending 70, 80% of the time on the bench and only ever come on for the last 5 minutes. And that's what I always find strange when some players sort of say, "Oh, I'm going to go to Real Madrid," and you think, are they really going to break into the first team? Are they just going to be sat there? Well, fine, they're earning the money, which is great from their point of view, but are they getting the regular football? And I think any club will look at the players in two ways. It's sort of, have they got the capability to fit the sort of football they want to do? And have they got the potential? Now, some players you see that go across to other clubs and things, you think, actually, really, they're going to play exactly the same as they did for every other club, and no different. Whereas I would hope that Parrott can go over to Milton Keynes and learn something new, learn some more aspects of the professional game, to then bring some of that knowledge back sooner rather than later. So he's moved on.
Yeah.
We don't want players that are just going to stand still and not develop in any way, because it's bloody expensive to have these players and to develop these players from, especially if you come through the youth squad or youth team and things like that. It's a big money investment. And certainly I would have thought that the likes of Daniel's going to be looking for some return on his investment, either in that we play better, we get better results, we get European football, we get trophies, all that sort of thing, or alternatively...
Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Pete. What was that? What was that word you mentioned? That T word. I couldn't... Trophies? Trophies? Sorry, is anyone...
Can anybody translate that?
Anyone can...
It's easier to clean the cupboard when there's nothing in it.
That's very true.
Exactly. It's an upside to everything, isn't it?
So, it's have they got? Are they coming back with some potential that's going to add? This whole thing is in management speak. You call it added value.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of, if they go on loan, they have to come back with that added value in terms of ability, or added value in terms of, can Levy flog them off to somebody else and then give him some cash to buy somebody else?
There's not many academy players that will go for 150 million, is there?
No, but look what happened when Bale went. I had all that money then, and basically, were there any really good buys out of that money?
Ericsson, yeah.
I would say that Lamela was, when he was fit, he was a good addition to the squad, but he was unfit more than he was fit.
Yeah, I'd say it was a
players
partial
that have
success.
had a long-term benefit to the club out of all that lot.
Yeah.
And I just worry that, you sell a big player, but you've then got to be pretty shrewd how you invest that. You may not get the return in the first season or the first half of the season, but certainly by season 2, you want to be getting something back for these guys.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I think. Go on, Andy. Sorry.
I was just going to say that, partly that reinvestment of Bale's money was down to Jamie's mate. Franco.
Leave Franco out of this. It's Daniel Levy's fault.
I mean, now we've got Paratici, got a proper director of football.
Yeah, well, he's always on his phone, according to Alistair Gold, before he blocked me.
You're not playing golf, either that or Candy Crush.
Yeah, he's got a massive score of Candy Crush.
I figured the same. It's either Golf Clash or it's Candy Crush. Yeah,
Jamie,
definitely.
Is there anybody on this podcast today that hasn't blocked you?
Anyone on this podcast?
Podcast? Well, you got you blocked, didn't we?
No, I've got access to that account. I can unblock myself, can't I?
Oh, right. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think Pete's blocked me yet, have you?
I don't go onto it. I hardly ever go. I've got a Twitter account. I just find it, because I'm a bit of an old git, for some reason I can't get my head around it. All the
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I don't have the time also. I don't find I have the time to go through all this shit. I think, if I do, then I think, is that another half an hour of my life that I've just wasted and I'm never going to get back? But at least I know what's happening in Love Island and what sort of tablets I need to have to give me a new banana.
Well, we'll have no Love Island chat on this podcast, I'm afraid. I don't watch it, so I can't join in with that conversation. So anyway, should we move on? So we still haven't signed Romero. Now, I'm pretty sure when we spoke last week, he was quite close. This week he seems to be closer, but still not there. And is he going to? I'm wondering if he's going to be our Damiao or our Skriniar, or one of these people that that just doesn't get over the line.
It's going to be that Dybala debacle, isn't it? It's.
Paratici or
Nearly joined.
Paratici, as I heard today elsewhere. I mean, he's supposed to be, on the ball, and I don't know. I mean, Atalanta, I think, the rumours are that Atalanta are waiting to get his replacement in. So I'm hoping that that's all sorted and that we will we'll there'll be some progress on that. It's Sarah's dog going on the assault course. Anyway, but I'm hoping that there'll be some progress on that this week.
You spoil your dog. Having a tunnel and things like that is just like...
No, I had that anyway. We have lots of friends with kids, so it's actually part of the ball pit that we have for the kids. Swear on my nan's life.
Yeah.
Just talking about that Romero deal. I mean, obviously it's a bit of a fuck up in the first place for Juve to send Romero out on loan to then give Atalanta an option to sign Romero for 16 million. To then Atalanta then try and flip Romero to Spurs for more than double. It's just
you can't blame them though, can you? I mean, that's.
But my theory is, rather than going for Romero, let's look at who Atalanta want to sign to replace Romero.
Well, they're going to sign. Is it Demiral? Is he Roma?
We'll save shitloads of money. We don't need to go scouting players. Just look at who someone else wants to sign for cheaper. And go for them.
Well, it's a good point, actually, because no one else seems to want Romero.
Yeah,
They're going to buy Parrot.
Well, yeah.
No one's buying Parrot.
But this is the thing. Whenever we're lined up to sign a player, you think, well, if we're favourites to sign him, why don't Man United, Liverpool, Madrid, Barcelona, any of the top clubs want him? Why is no one else being linked? But
I'm not sure that's a good policy, is it? I mean, or a good way of thinking.
I guess it'll come out in the wash.
Okay.
You've got to buy players that you want that are going to fit your profile and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should be sort of saying, oh, well, who's selling who and who's going there because of that. It's sort of saying, right, this is what Spurs' plan is. This is the way that we want to play. These are the sorts of configurations we want to get on the pitch and the flexibility we want on the pitch.
Yeah.
So then who fits that bracket? Who fits that criteria?
100%.
It could be somebody right on the doorstep, or it could be somebody nobody's ever heard of. But if you've got the background and you've got it worked out what you're... Because there's nothing worse. I do feel sometimes that we've got players and then gone, oh, shit, what do we do with them now?
Yeah.
It's like England going out to the Euros with like 74 right backs. Is that sensible?
Yeah.
Is that sensible? So I think you've got to work out what the style of play is going to be, especially with a new manager, with Nuno and such like. In some ways, almost wait until the January window and then make some investments then when he's had a chance to see how he wants to play, how he can play with his current resources, and how they're responding to him, because that's a very big factor. And stuff like that. So
the thing about that, though, Pete, is
people now would be pointless, really.
I think the thing about that, though, Pete, is that certainly that's a great point. I mean, there's two issues there. Firstly, Hitchin's still involved, and we know he doesn't like the January transfer window. And secondly, a lot of the players that we've got currently, they're always their initial reaction to the managers isn't the same as their longer term reaction to the managers, because they seem to kind of take to them all initially, and then all of a sudden, the wheels kind of fall off. So, I think you're right to a certain extent with some of the players, but I do think that the moves that are being made to get rid of some of the players, I think, is certainly something that we need to pursue, really. Because
so what do you think we'll achieve by the end of this season?
What
would be an acceptable result at the end of the season?
For me,
the last match. But
for me, I would like us to. I'd like us to probably. I'd like us to be top 5 if possible. I'd love us to be top 4, but I don't know if that's going to happen yet. So I'd love us to be top 5 and getting a domestic trophy, or given that we're in the inaugural Conference Cup, or whatever it's called, Conference League. It'd be good to actually win that and